So I'm sure everybody is aware now that Hottest Frickbear 3 is out, and I love it. Never have I seen a more meticulously crafted FNAF fan game than Frickbear 3 with so much to talk about, but I needed an outlet to figure out how to talk about this game. I was in a VC with some friends a couple days ago, and eventually the topic switched to talking about the minigames, and it was a free-for-all. Everyone was arguing with each other, and we were arguing about the minigames and who was worthy to death coin or not, and then an evil idea popped into my head. What if I made a Frickbear 3 hot takes video where I go over several people's hot takes and see if I agree with them or not? Now, obviously, this video is inspired by Not Real Name Not At All's hot take videos. I suggest you go watch her content. It's actually really enjoyable in my opinion. Anyways, I have 35 hot takes for this video, so let's stop blabbering and just get to the hot takes already. We're going to be kicking things off with a pretty spicy take shared by 3 separate people, with these people being Macaroni, YashJ9000, and H10 Productions. Kill Lolbit! Okay, but in all seriousness, Yashay did elaborate on his side of the Lolbit debacle. I don't like Lolbit that much. I think Lolbit's character is trying way too hard to be the next cute face, and it doesn't help that they're robbing me blind as they're doing that. So my personal, official pen and paper stance on Lolbit is that I actually think design-wise they are a step above just being a Funtime Foxy Reclair. Like, I'm sorry, this is just a better design for a Lolbit. I think my main issue with how Lolbit was presented and received in this game is the fact that they kind of just end up taking the spotlight away, like, from a lot of other Frickbears characters, regardless if it was intentional or not. One thing I love about Frickbears is that it gives the FNAF characters that everyone already knows about new twists and turns when it comes to their designs and personalities, like, slightly. And Lolbit, in my opinion, is the crowning example of that, as they easily look the most different from their design and sister location. Sadly, though, Lolbit just kind of ends up overshadowing other characters that I also feel like deserve the limelight with Lolbit. Like, come on, I love Dreadbear. We need more Dreadbear appreciation. That's my hot take. So yeah, overall, I don't hate Lolbit. I just think they are a bit overrated in my opinion. Also, yes, their mechanic is annoying, jacking up the frickin' price of the death coin. How am I supposed to deal with Lefty? I mean, we'll talk about Lefty later, but like, yeah. Fathead writes, hot take. Frickbear's art style is the next Pizza Tower art style. Both are good, but will eventually be overplayed unless you put your own spin on it. I can definitely see where you're coming from, as I've heard comparisons about the Frickbear's art style to, like, the FNF art style, for example, and, like, when it comes to how overplayed it is, and I'm like, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I think the art style of this game is one of its shining aspects, and it's really cool to see people, like, draw characters in this style. It's just a nice looking style. But I definitely see where you're coming from with it being overplayed if people don't put their own spins on it. I could definitely understand where you're coming from there. Rabbit Ruler writes, I guess one mild take is the settings should be before the menu so you aren't jump scared by lightning. I'm not personally bothered by the lightning, but I could definitely understand it jump scaring you like the moment you open the menu, and there's no way to disable that until you get past the menu, so that's a fair complaint to have. Lontgar writes, my hot take is that Freddy is fat and that's a real shame. Also, it would be cool if the game had DLC or post-launch updates that added more characters from later games. Alright, I want to start with the Freddy thing because this Bostonian Frick looks like a giant cube, which was intentional because I'm pretty sure Rick said something about him being built like a square in the dev notes. Secondly, yeah, I think DLC for this game would be really cool. Don't take what I'm about to say as fact, but in Twisted Wolf's dev notes, Rick talks about if he were to ever update this game, he would add at least one character that nobody would ask for, and I think that's really funny. Like, I already know we're getting custom animatronic skin support, like, in the future for this game, which is super cool, but it would be nice to see, like, maybe other FNAF characters get, like, the Frickbears treatment. I know there's some renders popping up that Rick has been drawing of, like, characters that aren't Frickbears, and oh, they look so good, obviously. But, like, yeah, I agree with your DLC point. Skull writes, my hot take is that you should lose the mask if you're caught by the Endo Chaser. Okay, this one. I understand where this take comes from, as the Endo Chasers and being caught by them are kind of inconsequential. Like, oh no, I got caught by an Endo Chaser, I lose $5. I get to keep the mask, though. Like, yeah, the Endo Chasers are not that much of a threat, but honestly, the alternative sounds annoying as hell. Like, you're in Williams Woods, you give the puppet the gift, and you get the mask, and then you get caught by an Endo because you turn the wrong direction. You're locked out of the good ending, basically. Meaning you have to play the whole playthrough all over again. So, I don't really agree with you, but I do kind of wish there was a little more of a punishment for being caught by the endo chasers, considering they're kind of just there. They're a cool idea, but like, they don't really punish you all that much. I don't think they should punish you that much, though. Our next take is shared by two people, being Salty Ramen and Mark's Fan. My hot take is that Frickbear 3 sucks!
This game blows!
Ultra writes, okay, one take. I think you should still be able to take salvages even when you're going for the Nightmares ending. I mean, you can just take all of the salvages and all the masks, just don't grab the Talbot files, and then you get to choose whether to do the good ending or the evil ending. It's not really a take, just a little recommendation, I guess. Timic Rabbit writes, the vent systems are severely underused. The only character that requires them is Lefty, and they're one of like the top 10 hardest. Yeah, honestly, it's kind of weird how little the vents are used in this game. Like, I genuinely thought you had to lure Mr. Hippo away with the audio, but no, you can just deal with him with the mask like almost everyone else. Like, at this point, you might as well call the vent tab the Lefty tab, because that's literally all you need the vents for. In fact, going a step further, I think the heater is probably the most useless mechanic in the entire game. It takes so much time to use, considering you have to actually hold the button to use it, and it makes the temp go up, which, you know, obviously it's a heater, but that also means you have to waste more fan power on cooling the office down, and that means that Nightmare Fredbear and Shadow Bonnie have a better chance of killing you, so I just don't think it's even worth using. It takes too much time to use, and it's not even worth using in the first place, in my opinion. The Epic Gamers writes, Lefty and Withered Freddy are not as hard as people say, I swear, bro. Unless you count Withered Freddy's footsteps, he is genuinely maintenance hell, and he also makes it way harder to get faster Fred Sweeper clears, I guess, even though you could just count his steps, I guess. I don't know, I guess it just depends on the person. I'm not a giant fan of Withered Freddy. And oh boy, Lefty, the #1 death coin in this game, in my opinion. Like, again, Lefty has an entire vent duct system dedicated to him. I think it wastes more time trying to cheese him than to just death coin him. Potato Bread writes, Plush Trap really isn't that bad. Now, I think the main reason people really don't like Plush Trap is how little his window is to actually, you know, get him. However, an update was actually released recently for Frickbears 3 that kind of nerfs him a little bit, which gives you more time to flash him if you turn to the wrong side of the office. I would never personally take Plush Trap for a run, but I don't hate him. There are worse characters in this game, believe me. Alright, these next few takes all revolve around Nightmare and the Nightmare boss fight. Pedro the Frickbears fan writes, Nightmare is the best boss fight. In terms of boss fights, I think this is the middle of the road, like second best boss fight in the game. Like, I just think that Psycho Fredbear's fight is just better in every way, shape, or form. But I really like the unique gameplay in this one. It's not just a harder Night 5 like the money ending or the evil ending are. Traffic writes, Nightmare should have had more importance than the good ending besides killing when the temperature fills up completely. His design is too cool to just keep his mechanic that way. Now, when it comes to Nightmare's design, yes, his design is very good. I mean, all of the Nightmare's designs are good, but yes, Nightmare's is very good. I love this bulldog-looking Nightmare design we got for Frickbears 3. However, to be fair, I feel like a fifth main threat would kind of break the pacing of this fight, since the whole point is to get through all 5 of the levels while dealing with the main 4 animatronics and doing it in a quick enough time so you don't die to Nightmare. I feel like a fifth threat that would have to do with like the mask or the flashlight would kind of break the pacing a little bit and force you to spend way less time than normal on Happiest Day. V-Cup writes, as much as I like the good ending boss fight, I really hate the way they did Nightmare himself. Him only appearing for dying to the fan is just redundant to the overheating mechanic that's already there. Wish they did something more special with him for being like the coolest FNAF 4 character. Also, speaking of, I wish his design in the game also reflected the creepy transparency Nightmare has with the brain and all. And unrelated, but the handheld game was a pain in the arse on the last 2 phases, but that's not too much of a hot take at this point. I already addressed the first point that V-Cup brought up, so I'm going to be addressing the other 2. Yeah, now that you mention it, when it comes to the whole transparency thing, yeah, I'm surprised that Nightmare doesn't really have that in this game, and he kind of just does the plush thing that the other Nightmares do, which is cool, don't get me wrong, but it is still kind of weird that the transparency thing just isn't there at all. Yeah, and Phase 5's Leap of Faith jumps are also pretty annoying. Avery Does Stuff writes, Nightmare is probably the easiest fight of the 3. I kind of think the Psycho fight is way easier actually, but yeah, this is again, like I said about the quality of the fight, it's kind of middle of the road, where it is not too hard like the salvage fight, but I still think the Fredbear fight is easier considering for the first half of it, you're just doing micro games. Sculler14 writes, Nightmare and Endo 02 are way more difficult than they're given credit for. Now, I kind of don't agree, because Nightmarian is realistically not that hard of a character to deal with. His grace period lasts way longer than you'd think it would. And characters like Toy Chica and Dreadbear, when it comes to the candy or the cupcake, will never spawn on the same side that Nightmarian is on. As for Endo really can only end up being annoying when other flashlight characters are around, like Wither Foxy or Springtrap, especially Springtrap, but I don't think Endo is actually that bad. Like when I first started playing the game, I was dreading Endo, but then I never really died to him whenever I had him around, and that's because he truthfully gives you a lot of wiggle room, especially when he's paired up with Withered Foxy. Oh, it seems like this take is from a celebrity, it seems. Toy Freddy writes, using the death coin on Toy Freddy is such a waste of tokens, especially with his mechanic being to beat his high score before 6 a.m. I agree. I think Toy Freddy is a genuine waste of a death coin, whether you're pause scumming or not. If you are, then 3-second Fred Sweeper, bye-bye. And if you're not, Circus Order is right there. Zephyr writes, Puppet Patrol is meta. My actual hot take is that I think an ending should be behind Fritz specifically, because that would be cool. Like, oh, it's not accessible and I want to get all the endings on easy mode. Like, get good. As funny as that would be to have more content regarding Fritz in this game, I don't know, I kind of like how accessible this game is with you being able to get all of the main endings and see all of the animatronics on easy mode. Like, yeah, there's really, really hard stuff in this game for, you know, die-hard FNAF fan game fans and FNAF players and whatnot. But, you know, the game acknowledges that there are less skilled people or people that are just getting into FNAF fan games and is willing to give that lower entry, and I really like that about this game. So I don't fully agree, but I really like Fritz, so I wouldn't also be completely against this. Speggy writes, Hair Pairs is easily the worst minigame, simply because of how inconsistent it feels to win and how much attention and time it requires. Beaver emoji. Even using pause cheese. Fred Sweeper is still better because you can finish it and get 30 tokens in the span of like 3 seconds if you're quick enough with your pauses. Meanwhile, with Hair Pairs, you have to wait for the cards to settle before you can start matching again, and that takes up way more time. Yeah, you're kind of not wrong. Fred Sweeper is definitely a more consistent option for money, but Hair Pairs does net you more overall, giving you 45 per clear. I don't know. I guess it's just a higher risk for a higher reward, I guess. I don't know. Weldine YT writes, I don't know if this is a hot take, but Fred Sweeper isn't made too well. Too many 50-50s can happen, and plus you can't cord, at least for me. It is very unplayable and ruins my muscle memory. Now, as someone that has never played Minesweeper until I played Frickbears 3, I'll take your word on there being not as many 50-50s in actual Minesweeper compared to Fred Sweeper. Yeah, honestly, I don't really have an opinion on this one because I've never played basic Minesweeper. Code Null writes, Salvage shouldn't have the other animatronics you've salvaged in the fight. At most, maybe Marionette. Otherwise, I wish it was a one-on-one against Salvage. Make his AI harder if it's not unviable, even maybe add some extra attacks to make up for the lost difficulty. But it's just wild that to me, frickin' Freddy Fazballs is more of a threat than the 7-foot-tall Goliath mecha homunculus possessed by the soul of an insane egotistical serial killer in said 7-foot Goliath's own boss fight. Quite the mouthful, I must say. I think for me personally, it's more that I just don't like Salvage's fight rather than I think there's too many threats. I did the fight on hard and it was not fun. I thought Salvage's amount of attacks he had were fine and there's a good amount of thought put into his fight, so I'll give him a pass. But yeah, personally, I don't think a lack of attacks is the problem with that fight. I think the lack of checkpoints is the problem with that fight, but that's just me, you know. Maybe the good ending was being too nice to me. Dash has 2 hot takes for us. Might be a cold take, but Freddy is such a waste of a death coin, and Pirate Plunder isn't that bad. I think it just comes down to greed. First of all, yes, Freddy is absolutely a waste of a death coin. He's not even the hardest sound to hear if you have the mask and fan on. That goes to Foxy, practically tiptoeing to the freaking door. And second of all, yeah, Pirate Plunder is not that bad. As a former Pirate Plunder hater, I could definitely say that no, it is not that bad. You just have to play with patience and not be too greedy. NGH writes, Chipper is beautiful. Never change Chipper. Yeah, no, Chipper is awesome in this game. Shout out to his voice actor. His voice is perfect. Puffterium writes, I freaking hate the power system in this game. I mean, it's not really all that different from your typical power system. The only thing I'd really have to complain about with the power is the fan. I think takes way too much of it, but that's a part of the challenge to balance when to use the fan and when not to use the fan. Snooey writes, I guess the upgrade system kind of sucks. Some of the upgrades do basically the same thing as each other and don't really change gameplay at all. Hard for me to think of anything that would be a take and or hot. No, I think this is a final take. But honestly, when it comes to upgrades in this game, yeah, some of them kind of do the same things because they're, I guess, upgrades of the upgrades. Like, of course, backdoor trading isn't going to affect the actual gameplay. The whole point of backdoor trading is to give you more options in the next salvage location. Brian, or Bryhan, writes, I got a couple. Nightmare BB is one of the easiest animatronics in the game. I've seen posts on Twitter and other people just generally complaining about how he pairs with animatronics, where in 90% of cases he's gone within less than a few seconds. Inversely, I think Nightmare Fredbear is very difficult when nobody really talks about him. In a game where audio is super important for most of the threats presented to you, having someone who's killed me while I'm in cameras with no sign that I was in danger just feels cheap. And finally, I think that Vanabelle is top 10 hottest characters in fiction. Yeah, no, honestly, Nightmare BB is only really a problem when you immediately click off of the camera he spawns on. Then he becomes an issue. But like, if you're trying to deal with him and the phantoms at the same time, just have your flashlight on while you're clicking on him so the phantoms don't jump you since you can't see them behind Nightmare BB. And yeah, when it comes to higher AI levels, yeah, Nightmare Fredbear can be super annoying, only allowing you to have 4 bars of heat before he starts attacking you at 20 AI. And y'all already know about how I feel about the fan taking up all my power. I will not comment on Vanabelle. I think she's even more overrated than Lolbit. Grease Goblin writes, I think Frickbears 3 should change its name because that is a bad word and my mom won't let me play it. Well, you can blame the boss for that since canonically, the boss is the reason why Freddy Fazbear's changed its name to Freddy Frickbears, solely because he thought it would be funny. Banana Boy writes, this is really freaking tame, but I wish the game either kept its flip note color palette from the demo or had it toggleable. This is part of the game's charm for me. Honestly, yeah, it is kind of sad that the demo filters just kind of completely got scrapped. Like, I know most people didn't use them and they just went with the full color filter, but it does kind of suck that the option to have them on just got completely scrapped from the game. Now, before we get to the final hot take, I actually want to tell you that I lied this whole time and we actually have 7 more hot takes before the final one. But I'm tired and man, I need to wrap my head around that final take. So in the meantime, I would like to introduce our special guest for the video. Please welcome Dee Dee.
Hey ma, look at me. I'm in a video. I'm special guesting. Nah, whatever. Ahoy. I'm Delilah, but you can call me Dee Dee. I'll be covering for Nigel while they get their head in the game. Frickbear's game 3. So, I'll be reading off the next 7 takes and giving my opinion on them as well. The first take that we have here is by a person named Lolspark. She says, Lol's Hacks and or Felix stole Purple Guy animatronic's spot in the roster. I have to agree with this take. With Sparky being included in the roster, you would expect more hoax characters getting rep as well, like Purple Guy animatronic or Chrome Freddy or whatnot, but Sparky is the only one in that sense. Having a book character like Felix, although a neat nod at most, makes any other opportunity seem underutilized for hoaxes. Twisted Wolf makes sense for book rep, as he was in the Silver Ice trilogy, but Felix on his own makes him kind of an oddball choice. Not to count out Fazbear Fights books, it's just strange. As for Lol's Hacks though, Freddy in Space rep is neat. I don't complain too much for a Lol's Hacks reference myself. The next 3 takes are from a person named Connie Le Zombie. Its first take is, Air Adventure is the best minigame. Their second take, which was a nice cold take, Dreadbear's best characterization is in this game. Her third and final take is, I think Anim Dude isn't that bad, y'all just suck at platforming. For the first take, I have to disagree. For me, and many other people as well, take more issue to the hitboxes of the game more than anything else. That, and I believe it's one of the least token-giving minigames at your disposal in terms of speed. You're much better off chomping with Chica or circus sorting at the speed you got in Air Adventure. For the second take, I will have to agree, though it's a little too easy. Dreadbear barely has any characterization in general, so it's a pretty low bar to begin with. Frickbears does give him a little fun spotlight to work with, so we can always give him that. As for the third take though, I believe it's purely situational. Lunatic runs already get hectic enough as they are. If we're talking the General's Challenge and Custom Night though, it's not too tough. All in all, it does come down to skill, so, maybe. Our next take is by a person named Hex. She says, Candy isn't that bad. I suppose I have to agree. Even if succumbing to the feelings of, what if the timer is at 1? The ticking seems all the same with everything else happening. It's very much potent at times. If you can keep up a calm demeanor, it's nothing too crazy. But this too can be situational. This next take is by a person named Lucas. He says, it would be awesome if you had visual cues in the games, so you don't have to be so dependent on your hearing. I agree with this one, but I feel with how the games work and how the Five Nights at Freddy's formula is, audio cues are just the norm. A few animatronics have visual cues though, like Funtime Foxy's Showtime, Freddy at Your Door, or Foxy's progress stages from his cove, though it would require more attention than just hearing for the ultimate cue, so maybe it depends from person to person. I know a few people who rather watch for Freddy than hear his final laugh at the door, so I believe it's preference there. But I digress. More visual cues would be neat. This next take is from a person named Billy. It says, Afton's voice in Frickbears 3, Springtrap / Salvage, is better than the official one. As much as I absolutely enjoy G-Zone's, the voice actor for Afton in Frickbear's 3's, take on the character's voice, I think I'm just too attached to the original Freddy's Afton to agree here. I personally just love that bastard Brit.
Suffer now, like all who have stood before me.
Stupid, corny lines. These next two takes are from a person named the Dewliner. Their first take is, Twisted Wolf is possibly the best depicted character in this game when considering his lack of source material. He's essentially a brand new character, and in terms of design, gimmick, and voice, he's one of the best in the game. And for their second take, they said, also, Nightmarion is a billion, trillion, bajillion times better in this game than in UCN. For the first take, I believe it's just the Dreadbear thing again, with little to no background or character to them. Frickbear's Twisted Wolf just outshines the original in many, many ways. For the second one, Nightmarion wasn't as much as an buster as you could think. At least in UCN. It had 6 fixed spots to spawn into. If you know what you're doing, it ain't bad. Plus, in Frickbear's, Nightmarion spawns on the left or right side. 4 less spots than in UCN. Of course it's easier. The 7th and my final take to read is by a person named Technia. He says, the game is genuinely easy and each animatronic isn't that big of a threat. Wilted rose emoji. This includes all boss fights unless we are talking the nightmares. For this take, it could be situational. Standalone, I can agree, but jumbled together a good handful of mechanics can synergize for the worst. Like Endo 2 and Springtrap, Malhare and Funtime Foxy, to name a few. Of course there's counters to every single one, but if you're not quick enough or are too overwhelmed, it'll get ya. Worst case combos apply to most if not every boss. The nightmares ain't god-awful. Buck up, Pally. Well, I believe that's all from me. I would like to thank Nigel for allowing me to guest star here today. I'm happy I could contribute. I believe Nigel should be done prepping by now, so I'll hand it back over. Bye-bye! Oh yeah, one more thing. Whoever said Hair Pairs was the worst minigame, you just suck at matching games. Get good.
Alright, we are here. The final hot take of the video, and hoo boy, it is a doozy. Bop writes, the ultimate route with Cassie doesn't really feel as natural of an ending as I'd like it to be. I get how and why it's the final sequence, but I don't know, the build-up and the reasoning toward it all, well, absolutely is not bad, is lacking to me for some reason. The game tries to act like Cassidy's the one thing holding everything together, but I feel like that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Like, the main 3 characters from the other paths, Vanny, Michael, and the boss, just have zero involvement in the actual sequence, nor any involvement with Cassidy at all, and also have their problems taken care of off-screen. Like, is there a canonical reason why you had to take the scraps and the masks to do it? Is it just so everyone involved can be caught up with each other to the point that you specifically had the time to help Cassidy? Like, that's the only thing I have in my head, and with that, it just doesn't feel like this should be the case, at least to me. This game has inspirations from Undertale, I'm pretty sure. If not, then it's a weird coincidence. In the true pacifist of that game, Azrael was able to break the barrier and free everyone from the underground. That ending felt very natural to me because it used several things that had a lot of depth to them. Like, it used several things that were established from the start and were further elaborated on as time went on. Flowey, a character that was introduced and is the normal ending final boss, captures everyone, but because of your actions mattering is a core theming of the game. Everyone you spare tries to help, but then Flowey consumes everyone's souls, including the human ones. I'm pretty sure souls are something that had been described as a way to break the barrier. And the way to beat him is by saving him, not fighting others, and to be a good sport is the core message of this specific route. And to do that, you have to save your friends and other associates first, too. Adding to the fact your actions matter. It utilizes so many established things, and at least to me, it feels very natural due to how closely it ties to the game's plot and entire theming. Obviously, I'm not comparing some silly little completely free fan game's writing to Undertale, one of the most deeply written things I know, but the inspiration and similarities are there, and I felt like looking into what Undertale did right and how Frickbears didn't quite reach it would be kind of interesting. The thing about the ultimate route is that it's related to the MCI, right? Despite that, it feels as though they don't actually provide much towards the game's narrative and much relations to the characters involved in the game either. So I guess all I have to say is that I just wished everything was more involved in the route, where the point is that you do everything, you know? I thought the message of this route was that you can make everyone happy if you try hard enough, but you literally didn't even help most of the people there yourself. You essentially just helped one person. The game even literally says that. Like, canonically speaking, why would anyone except the MCI get a good ending in this scenario, you know? And again, I'm not saying I don't like the ending or I think it's bad and whatnot. I actually think it's really cool. I just think it has flaws and I wanted to go very in-depth with it. And to be fair, I haven't seen every single possible dialogue and whatnot in the sequences, so who knows, maybe I just don't fully understand it yet, but yeah. Okay, this take right here. I agree. But I also want to talk about the ultimate ending more. Mainly because I feel like I got a different perspective on it. I guess I can start by saying this. I feel like the ultimate ending is sort of a bait and switch setup by the game, but not in a way you would think. Psychic Friend Fredbear talks about this ending like, you can make everybody happy. You don't have to leave anyone behind. This is the best ending. Hey, brief correction here. So it turns out I'm a freaking liar. Psychic Friend Fredbear doesn't say this at all. In fact, he says quite the opposite. He basically just goes, yeah, it's pretty comforting starting from square one over and over and over again. So, yeah. I still kind of think my take holds merit, though. Just, ignore this part. And obviously we know by night 5 that everybody is pissed at you and they get so caught up in themselves that they all start bickering like little children, which then leads Cassidy to, reveal himself. Everybody knows this now. I'm pretty sure the game treats the MCI like it's the biggest stain on Freddy's legacy. Like, it's not the first thing that happened there, obviously, but it is the thing that left the biggest impact on it. Hell, it's the thing that Vanny rants the most about on night 3 to your selected guard. And yet, when it comes to our main 3 characters here, being Michael, Vanny, and the boss, the MCI really doesn't matter to them all that much. Like, it only matters to Vanny just so she can hype up Springtrap to your selected guard. Boss obviously doesn't care. And then there's Michael. Hoo boy, Michael. Now, you would think that Michael, being the representation of the good ending, wants to, save the children, put an end to Freddy's and his father's legacy. Well, I mean, kind of, but he has really only one specific goal in mind. That being apologizing to his brother, the big bite victim, the crying child. Which obviously is an act of good, but it doesn't entirely fix the problem. Like, when you're doing the good ending, yeah, you reunite Michael with his brother, but like, the MCI are still trapped. Cassidy is still holding them all back. That's why Cassidy beckons you to do another run after you do the good ending for the first time. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Michael has mentioned the MCI by name once in this entire game. Again, Vanny brings it up more than Michael does. So while I don't think Michael disregards the MCI, dealing with it is not his top priority. And what's doubly funny about Michael is that he could have just done everything himself, as at the end of the ultimate ending, Michael reunites with the crying child anyway, off screen, meaning he could have just done all of that Game Boy stuff himself if you think about it. As again, to my knowledge, it's never stated anywhere in the game why Michael can't do this himself. At least not that I remember, so I could be wrong about that. So yeah, I think it's kind of funny that a take about the ultimate ending kind of made me realize that Michael is way more of a gray character than you'd think he would be. Like, obviously, he has good intentions. He wants to redeem himself. There's nothing wrong about that. I'm just saying he does not want to go the full 9 yards because I just don't think it's his top priority. His goal is reuniting with his brother, and everything is second to that. Unless his father fuses with a bunch of animatronics into a giant Goliath, but that's evil ending stuff. But yeah, Michael tangent aside, yeah, no, I agree with your take. Yeah, it's lame that the other 3 characters' problems are just all solved off screen just because you freed the MCI, but realistically, your selected guard was not going to make everything better. If anything, and I guess this is my final hot take for the video, Michael was the key to stopping everything. He, like I said before, just wanted to reunite with his brother more than stopping Fazbear's legacy. Which is again funny because him reuniting with his brother is the first domino that breaks Vanabelle from Springtrap's control and nets the boss a whole bunch of insurance money. But that's how I personally perceive the ultimate ending. Whew, okay, that is everything for real this time. Thank you guys so much for watching this pretty big video, honestly. I'm surprised I got it done as quickly as I did. I want to give a massive shout out to Delilah/Didi for being my co-host for the latter half of this video. Go check her out on Tumblr. Shout out to NGH for drawing the Lolbit art in the thumbnail, mainly because I asked him to out of nowhere because I thought it would be funny. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, y'all.